Have you ever seen this bumper sticker? Well, for those of us that have, it does make us chuckle a little bit, and then it makes us go, yeah, that's kind of what it's like moving to Florida. WTF. Well, today we are going to dive into some of the myths, the truths, the realities of what it's like living in Florida. And it's not just from my opinion. I went directly to my clients and asked them, what has it been like moving to Florida? What are the biggest surprises? What do you love and what do you hate? So we are going to talk about all of that in today's video. And remember, there is no perfect state in the nation. No matter where we live, there are going to be pros and cons. So let's talk about Florida. First, I want to clear up a few things. You may have heard some of those Florida man stories, and they're so crazy that it would make you scratch your head and think, why does anyone live there? Now, I just want to let people know, first of all, yes, we do have a lot of alligators here in Florida, but no, they're not swimming in our pools, they're not lounging in our front porches, they're not just hanging out. Gators do live in any fresh body of water, and you are more than likely to see one at some point, but it's not a daily occurrence. They're not just meandering down the roads. Once in a while, we're going to find them on the golf courses. And yes, once in a while, when we're out walking along water, you might see them. Now, first thing to know is if you see one, turn around and go the other direction. And second of all, if one gets large enough in your neighborhood in that body of water, you can call animal control and they can have them removed. So first and foremost, I want you to know about the alligators. And second of all, the snakes, because I'm hearing a lot of people wondering, like, are snakes, living in the walls or coming up through the plumbing? And again, that might be a once in a lifetime occurrence, and you may have heard that crazy story here in Florida, but that's not something that's happening all the time. So just rest assured, Florida's not quite that crazy. Now, before moving on, I'm Lisa McBride with Sarasota Neighborhood Experts, and my team and I love helping so many of you buy, sell, and invest in real estate. So if we can be of any help, give me a call today. My contact information is in the description box below. So I wanted to get a direct opinion from my clients that have moved here in the last 24 to 48 months, and they've had enough time to really experience Florida life. So what I'm about to share comes directly from people that have been living in Florida for a little while now. The first thing that I want to address is our traffic. And yes, it's probably just about as bad as people say that is, specifically during high season, which is January through April. Now, there are many ways to get around all different cities. We're not sitting in traffic, we're not backed up everywhere. I work throughout Sarasota, Manatee counties, and usually it takes me anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to get just about everywhere. On some extreme cases, it may be 45 minutes. Now, I'm not living in Tampa or Orlando, and I know the traffic is worse in some other areas. But yes, traffic is definitely something to be aware of, and the traffic moves very fast on our interstates. The number two thing that I heard from so many of my clients is that Florida is such an active state, as far as always something to go do, something to explore, some event to be had, something that keeps us active. Florida really is an active state. So it doesn't matter if you're somebody that has never played pickleball or has never golfed or has never taken an art class. Suddenly you move to Florida and you just naturally get involved. You naturally find things that you probably didn't have time for in the past, and now in Florida we seem to have the time for it because we are very active. It's not just what are we doing on the weekends, it's what are we doing right after work, because it's warm, because we have so many clubs, groups, so many things going on. Specifically during high season, every weekend there's an art fair, there's a festival, there's a show, performance, anything that you are looking for, you can find in Florida. So one of the big things that I heard from a lot of my clients is just how much they are loving all of the activities, how they love having something to do, whether it's a Monday night or a Sunday afternoon, you can get involved. The next thing that everyone has said to me, now I know some people are gonna respond that this isn't true for everyone, but almost everyone I spoke to said how nice the people are. And I was like, we all choose to be here. This is more of a destination. So if people don't want to be here, a lot of times they don't have to be here. We have a lot of people that do relocate to the area by choice. So overall, people are quite friendly. And that's true whether you're going to the grocery store, the doctor's office, to the DMV, which if you have watched any of my videos about moving to Sarasota, you know that I rave about Sarasota, Lakewood Ranches, and DMVs. So people are quite friendly here in our area. Now this next subject may cause some controversy, and that is about politics in Florida. Now, we have not always been quite so conservative, but in the last decade, Florida has definitely become a very strong red state. So regardless of where you're moving from, please know that politics here in Florida currently are a little bit more conservative. So I have friends on both parties. I don't talk politics, but do know that you may be living next to somebody that's going to be flying some flags that you don't always like. So rest assured, there's all kinds of people, and I think we can all get along because we're all here to enjoy ourselves. Now, this next thing that might surprise you is I know in Florida we have no state income tax, and people love that. But the cost to live here is not as affordable as a lot of people want to think. First of all, just the cost of goods, our food cost, our dining out, restaurants, grocery stores, everything, the food costs seem to be higher than many other locations. I actually polled my clients and asked them, and they're from all over, Minnesota, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, and I asked, can you tell a big difference in food cost? And overwhelmingly, people said cost of food here in Florida is higher. So I wanted to share that just so that you're prepared if you're thinking about moving here. Definitely the cost of food in Florida is a little higher than some other places. And we all know that our insurance cost is high compared to a lot of states. However, keep in mind, the insurance cost for older homes or closer to coastal areas are always going to be higher than if you're inland in a newer built home with newer roof, newer windows, new electrical panels. So it's not impossible to get insurance. I hear that all the time. Is it going to be impossible to get insurance? And no, it's not impossible, but we just have to look at where the homes are located and really do a deep dive into the cost of insurance. So overall, cost of living in Florida, not quite as affordable as it once was. Another concern that I've heard from some of my clients is kind of the lack of yard space we have. Remember, so much of Florida is built by production builders. In our neighborhoods, we have lots of homes in them. So our lot sizes are not huge, whether that's side to side or front to back. We don't have a lot of yard space, and most communities maintain your yard for you. So there's not that sense of big expanding yards that you work in all the time. And so I've heard a couple people complain about the yard size. And with small yard size, keep in mind your neighbors might be a little bit louder, or if they have pool equipment or their air conditioner is right outside your primary bedroom window, you may hear it. So these are all things to consider when looking at neighborhoods. How close are the homes? Because these homes can be really close and these yard sizes can be pretty small. So before you decide on a neighborhood, let's talk about what's next to you and how close you are to those living in the neighborhood. Now, the next thing that we hear a lot about is that Florida is God's waiting room. Well, naturally, Florida does tend to be a little bit older in population. We are geared towards that. However, I wouldn't say that everyone is 90 waiting for God to come and take them by any means. We have a very vibrant lifestyle, as we talked about a little earlier. However, we are not just older people. Actually, there is younger and younger families moving to Florida all the time. There are so many new schools being built. There's so many activities for kids of all ages. So no, we're not just God's waiting room by any stretch of the imagination. So those 7 items pretty much going to be true for anywhere you live in Florida. But keep in mind, every city has its own charm and characteristics. Whether you're looking at St. Augustine, Rosemary Beach, or Sarasota, there's some really true unique characters with every city. For instance, here in Sarasota, Sarasota is a circus city. And when I first moved here, I thought that was a little strange. Like we talked, everything was geared around circus and a circus theme. Well, come to find out, there is a great reason for that, as John Ringling helped establish Sarasota and put Sarasota on the map, because John Ringling and Ringling Brothers Circus, this was their home ground during the winter months, and they had so many people from the circus here. But John really helped develop our area, And definitely a circus is a big part of Sarasota. So if you want more information about Sarasota or any parts of Florida, just let me know. I'm here to help. I'm here to answer any of your questions. I always appreciate you watching. And until next time, take care.